guys, this is Stormmouse03.
And I'm Praetorian.
Welcome back to Ramblings of Mad People, September 2023 edition.
Indeed.
Recapping our gaming exploits for the month.
Yes.
So how was your September, Mr. Praetorian?
Pretty decent. I had some goals that I was aiming for that I made good progress on.
Mm-hmm.
We're recording this in October, so I'm having to make sure I don't talk about stuff that hasn't happened yet.
Right, yeah, that is. Unfortunately, it took us a while to be able to record this into October, and so, yeah, I had that problem too, where I was going through getting my stuff ready to record, and all my information about stuff that I played, and we have our third quarter wrap up for the third quarter of the year.
So we're going to be a bit briefer on our game description.
Yeah.
Especially because a lot of what I did this month I've already done.
Mm-hmm.
Some this year and some a little bit further in the past. But
yeah, I've been replaying some things, which is, just, it's kind of par for the course when you are invested in both systems, Xbox and PlayStation, just wanting to replay things and
it's also helpful, especially when you're going for goals. If you've done the game before,
mm-hmm.
or even done the game a couple of times before, you know what to do, and so it's kind of nice to speed run a little bit.
Yeah,
or at least for me, I find that kind of fun.
Yeah, for sure. And I think that is cool, doing the game and then doing it again. You can either speed run through it, or if it's been a little bit longer period of time in between when you played, it's a nice chance to re-experience the game. So, it's just, since we're achievement trophy hunters, it's nice to collect again, so that's why we would do stuff multiple times. So
Indeed.
All right. Well, so September, the beginning of my month was taken up largely by doing a game called Potion Craft. And so that took a couple of weeks to finish, just because, I don't know, I played it kind of off and on. It's a kind of casual chill game. And so
it's also one of those ones that it takes a while to hit certain milestones, and so you just play.
Yeah, it does. I think, I probably didn't do it the most timely, efficient way that one could possibly do it, but I had fun. It's a simulation kind of a thing, and so you just make potions. You put ingredients together in your little cauldron, and you have to combine certain types of ingredients to create different potions with different effects. And it's not really more complicated than that. People will ask for potions to do certain things, and the answer is not always explosives, although sometimes it is. And
that was me on the end of the call going, obviously it's explosives.
Yes. For every
I need a new face cream. Yeah, explosives.
I'm having trouble. I ate something bad and now I have the poops. Well, time for a potion of explosives.
Exactly. That'll sort you right out, as in it won't be a problem anymore because you won't exist.
So, you have different kinds of effects and stuff that you can do, and you can combine them too. So you could have a potion of, say, fire and explosions, or healing and explosions, which is an effect that doesn't really go together, but it could be like poison and acid or something like that, right?
Yeah.
And as you go, they require you to do more and more complicated ones. So things that have 2 or 3 or 4 or even 5 effects on there. And depending on how well you make the potions, it's like tier 1, 2, or 3. And so sometimes they'll ask for, I want a weak potion or a really strong potion and that sort of stuff. And as you go, you get more recipes, and you can create these more complicated substances up to something like the Philosopher's Stone. So it's a pretty fun little simulation kind of thing if you're into that. It's also a chill game that is kind of like, if you just need something that doesn't require a bunch of thought or focus. And it's just something that you want to do while you're listening to a podcast or having a chat. It's a nice game for that. But that took up a lot of the beginning of my month.
I think I'll just cover what we did on Xbox, or what I did on Xbox. The Wii bit is Far Cry 6.
Yeah.
The me bit is Immortals Fenyx Rising.
Nice.
I finished the main game, and I finished the first DLC, and then I kind of stopped. I enjoyed the base game. I thought it was good. The DLC was challenge mode stuff that I couldn't be bothered with. I'm also having the problem of, did I talk about this on the last podcast? Because I did it so close to the end of the month.
Yeah.
I'm not 100% sure.
I think you mentioned that you were playing it, and you
so
talked
I may be
about
repeating
it a little
myself
bit
on this one.
but...
I probably should have watched the previous version. But anyhow, so Immortals will get finished at some point. I have other projects at the moment that are taking all of my attention, shall we say.
Mm-hmm.
And the other Xbox game we played together was Far Cry 6, and finally finished.
Yep.
After about a month and a half?
Something like that, yeah. And I feel like it only took as long as it did because connecting to each other was so tragically difficult.
The fact that it still has that bad a server issue just to play single player, to not even play together. We couldn't even get into the game to invite each other to a game because the game needed to sign into the servers to play the single player, or at least it was trying to, and then it would be like, this operation took too long, and so you couldn't load into the game. And then when you tried again, it would just give you the same message, so you'd end up having to quit the game entirely to the dashboard and then go back in and hope that it didn't
do the same thing again.
Didn't do the same thing.
Yeah, and this was every time you tried to load the game, or every time we tried to connect to each other, or every time we tried to connect to one of the operations or the DLCs.
Yeah, so the base game, you could quickly continue game in the hope that it hadn't tried to sign into the servers yet, which would get you into the game, and then it would connect to the servers, and so there wasn't as much of a problem. But to be able to play the DLCs, which are all separate from the main game, you have to be on the server for it to realize that you have the DLC.
Right.
Is how it seems to work, because it'd be like, you can purchase this, and it's like, I already have. Okay, I'm going to wait 2 minutes, signed into the servers. Oh, look, you own it.
Yeah. It's just really bad, the connection to the servers, and then the required connection to the Ubisoft servers. It's not even online connection. Our online connections are fine. Our connections to each other are fine. It's the Ubisoft servers that are terrible. And I suppose you could, in theory, play the single player if you were just going to play it solo. Play that offline,
Some people suggested that in solution, which was start the game in offline mode, get into the game, then reconnect to the internet.
Yeah, it's just either way, it's a huge rigmarole to have to try to get into a game that is a single player game.
It's unnecessary jumping through hoops because they were too lazy to fix their servers before they published DLC.
Yeah.
Because they just are like, well, the game runs well enough, and we need to work on the DLC and get it out for our deadlines.
Right.
Etc.
Or maybe the like current gen version of it, because we were playing this on Xbox
That's true. We were
One.
playing it on the One.
And so it's possible that the servers are just bad for the old gen hardware, and that's not true for the current gen hardware. Anybody who's
Mhm.
played Far Cry 6, let us know if you had this struggle, because
Especially if you're on Series X,
yeah,
because
cuz
that would be comparable.
right, cuz it was a struggle. Or I guess if you were on PS4, right? Did you have the same
Oh yeah,
problems
PS4 to PS5.
that we had? Because
Um,
it was just it made it borderline unplayable. Like once you got into the game played fine, the gameplay was good and everything, but like getting into the games itself and getting into the DLCs was just a nightmare.
and the problem was, we both needed to get in. So one of us would get on
Mhm.
fine, and then the other one would take 10, 15 minutes to get online,
Mhm.
and then we'd play, and then the next time it would be the other way around.
Yep.
Very strange. Speaking of the DLCs, they were challenge modes,
Mhm.
basically. And you went into the minds of three previous villains: Vars, Pagan Min, and Joseph Seed.
Yeah.
Because I always want to call him Jacob, and I know that's not right.
Right, no, I think it's Joseph and then Jacob is one of the brothers.
Yeah. Um, Surprisingly fun challenge modes with the two of us. Just,
Mhm.
I had to explore the map and do a bunch of different things. I think the only one that was slightly irritating with Pagan with the visions. So there's different collectibles, so you have to see like visions from their past and little bobbleheads and
Mhm.
weapons. And each one had a different like number of things. And Pagan's had like 16 visions, and like four of them were mutually exclusive, so you had to do 4 runs, and
Yeah.
that was a little bit irritating.
Right. But it was interesting going into the minds of those three previous characters, and just kind of seeing their backstories more fleshed out and their characters more fleshed out. Like I thought that was really cool.
Yeah, I agree. And there was only a little bit of grind in it because each one had like you need to, what was it, get all the skills in one, get all the weapon upgrades in another, and then get like the maximum amount of perks.
Yeah. Like you had to have 8 active perks. That
And
was the easiest one, I think.
and also the easiest to like reset yourself if you died.
Yes. Right. They were roguelite or roguelike kind of,
Yeah,
where if you die it resets you back to the beginning of the DLC, and you keep the skills that you've purchased
and access to the weapons that you've already bought, but you
purchased.
have to
Yeah,
repurchase the weapon for that run.
right.
And you effectively lose your currency as well.
Yes, you lose your currency and you lose your perks. Yeah,
Yeah.
and you
And
lose your weapons and then you have to repurchase them.
and then if you quit out in the middle of a run, you'll lose your story progress no matter what. But if you quit out within a safe house, it will
Hmm.
save your currency because
Yep.
each of the DLCs has a slightly different name for the currency.
Right. And you can replay, like if you finish it, because it's fairly short, each one only has, you have like 3 different little missions that you have to go on, and then a final mission where you're trying to collect a piece of something in each of the three, and then you have a final encounter. And then there's some side stuff that you can do and unlocking weapons and this, that, and the other. But once you complete the story for each one, then you can start a new version. You
Run.
can start over, and your progress carries over. So all your skills and your weapons and your currency that you had when you finished, you'll have again when you start over. And you can do it, I think there's 5
Yeah, there's 5
difficulties.
tiers. You only have to complete the first one, and then it unlocks the other 4.
Yeah.
And so when we were grinding like out currency, we like put it up to 3, and then did
Yeah.
like 3 activities that gave the most currency per run, and then save in a safe house, reset the run, go again. And then once you do it at like mind level 5, you get a special ending.
Yeah.
Which is like the true ending.
Right.
To the what if kind of endings.
Yeah. And they were interesting because they gave, I think, a little bit more, like it tied the Far Cries together, I think, a little bit more,
Yes,
which was
it
kind of
did.
cool. So, yeah, I enjoyed those DLCs, honestly.
I didn't enjoy the other one.
Yeah, we had some difference of opinion about that one. I liked the, what was it called?
Lost Between Worlds?
Lost Between Worlds DLC, which was, again, another challenge mode kind of a thing.
I think the problem with that one is I was coming off of having done challenge modes in Immortals, and because we weren't playing together, because it was single player only, it ground my gears. And the rage was real.
Yeah, you were a very unhappy person when you were playing Lost Between Worlds. I kind of liked it. Like, I thought it had an interesting kind of a shtick to it. Like, you went and you I guess not to spoil too much of the story of what it was about, but like it had these procedurally generated well, I guess they weren't even procedurally generated.
No, they're not.
They were these different
Maps.
little challenge maps or challenge worlds, and each one had a different kind of activity that you were trying to do. So you either needed to avoid lightning in one and blow up these barriers in another and
escape a storm.
Escape the storm, swim through an underground maze, use a mechanic to blow up people. It was like different little activities in each one, and at the end of each one you had 2 different color portals that you could go through, and each portal would then take you to a different level. And the idea was you had to take a path through the different activities to get to 5 different end activities. And so there was a specific path or paths.
To pick up these like shard items, you need all 5 to get to finish the DLC.
Yeah. And then after you picked up all 5 of those, you had a final boss for the DLC. But I don't know. I thought it was kind of interesting. I didn't find any of them to be that difficult. And
I didn't like the water one. It gave me the heebie-jeebies.
Yeah, I didn't really like the water one either. I don't really like water levels in general.
I don't either. They always freak me out.
It stresses me out feeling like I'm going to suffocate. Mm-hmm. You know, I don't like that. And so I only did the water level one time. Every other time I chose different portals to like avoid that one.
And it was so dark that like it was so easy to get lost and not realize which way you were going. And it just, the fear of drowning comes in, and I'm like, no, I'm good. I've done it once. I got the achievement associated with that level, and it will get bypassed every single time.
Yeah. But other than that, I found all of them to be okay. A few of them I thought were pretty fun, and I don't know. It was just interesting. I didn't think it was too long. You know,
I think another problem I had with it was that it wasn't included in the season pass, and we had to pay extra for it. And I was like, I paid extra for this? Mm-hmm. Great. I'm really having fun, and you took my money as well. But no, like, it wasn't the worst thing in the world. I think it was just a tipping point for having done so many challenge modes in Ubisoft games over this year.
That's fair.
As well, because I did Valhalla this year, and that was abysmal. Yeah. And on top of the fact that the servers weren't working properly, and then they add all this other stuff in, and I'm like, you could have just fixed your game and not put that one DLC in, because it doesn't really tie into any of the other stuff.
No. it's very much its own thing.
Yeah, it's very standalone.
Very different from the rest of everything. But I don't know. I thought it was, I kind of liked it. I liked the aesthetic of it. I just thought it was interesting. But if it didn't exist, I don't think it would be any great loss.
Exactly.
You know?
Like I'm happy that you enjoyed it.
Yeah.
It's not something that I will ever do again.
Yeah. And what did you think of the main game, though?
I enjoyed the main game. Because we played it together, and that's always fun.
Yep.
They had the buzzer, which is my favorite vehicle in any Far Cry game.
Yep.
Which meant that we could just like bomb around, blow things up. We played on easy.
Yeah.
Most everything was fine. It doesn't have great. I would say it doesn't have a great main story, in my opinion.
It wasn't bad.
No, it was average at best. And some of the like plot decisions they made with certain characters, I was like, that doesn't make sense. And other ones, I'm like, really? These people? Okay.
Yeah, there were a couple of characters that we didn't particularly enjoy.
No. And certain decisions, like, there's a certain person I felt we should have been able to dispatch that we didn't, and I don't understand why. But anyway.
Yep.
Sometimes it's plot for plot's sake, and it didn't make sense in certain areas.
Yeah. They went for, I don't even want to say shock value. They went for, we need to kill off characters.
Yeah.
In order to make
it meaningful.
To make it meaningful, or to make it realistic,
notable?
Quote unquote. Or notable, or to have a certain effect that they were going for.
Like to get people talking about it, like we are right now.
Yes, like to show that these people were ruthless.
But is Ubisoft that nuanced to even try that, or was it just lazy writing? Because I feel like it's lazy writing.
I think it's just lazy writing. Well, I think that the idea behind some of it was we need to show how threatening these antagonists are, and a lot of times you do that by killing off characters. You know, it's like they're sacrificed for the sake of the narrative. But some of them, it just fell flat because it felt like, well, that just happened because they wanted someone to die there, not because it actually made sense for the character to die there. If that makes sense. Without spoiling any more, right? Like without spoiling the particular plot points.
Yeah,
you know?
Exactly.
Like it just didn't work in a lot of cases for me. You know, it just felt like.
But there was a point where I said, these people aren't going to die, are they?
Mm-hmm.
And you just kind of knew that they wouldn't.
Yes, because the characters that you hate never die.
Exactly. You're like, really? You're still alive?
When they're not the antagonist, right?
Yeah.
It's like, yeah.
I think Far Cry is suffering from they're doing the same formula they've always done.
Yep.
But trying to do something new isn't always the best way to go, if that makes sense. Like the story they've done better. Yes. They've written it better in previous iterations. Mm-hmm. I didn't like Far Cry 5's story, but it made sense in the context of the game.
Yes.
And 4 and 3 are really good.
Yes.
Like, they're my favourite Far Cry stories.
Mm-hmm.
2's decent, but it suffers from being old at this point.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I agree. It feels like it's very much and now we're going to do the same thing again. You know, like I liked a lot of the acting. They had some pretty good voice acting. I liked the guy who, Giancarlo Esposito, I think is his name, who did the antagonist, the main antagonist.
No, he's a great actor. I like him.
It's just, I feel like they didn't have him really in it enough, unfortunately. No. And like every scene that he was in, he did a great job with. but again, just some of the writing was just not
And another problem,
stellar.
you saying about him not being in it enough, I don't feel like the group you were working for originally were in it at all, except for
Agreed.
3 instances. And it's
Yes. The
they
main
just kind of
leader.
swoop in and take over what you've been doing right at the end, and it's like, where have you been?
Mm-hmm.
While
For
we've
sure.
been here slaving away, doing all the
Yeah.
grunt work, and then you're like, oh, this person was my friend, and now I'm here, and it's like, oh, this is the final mission then, because you guys are here.
Yeah. It was
It's just
very strangely done. You know, how they split it up into 3 different areas, and then there were 3 different kind of factions or groups of people that you were working with in each of the areas, and you get to know them fairly well, but then you don't know the leader of
your
the
boss.
rebellion and the guy who's supposed to be your mentor. Like there's way less connection to them than there is to any of the other characters.
I had more
Really.
contact with his pet than I did with him,
Yes.
because Guapo is king.
Yes, Guapo's great. And so is Eluso.
Yeah.
Eluso is Bibi.
Eluso for the operations is
Uh-huh.
OP. Especially when there's
love
2 of
Eluso.
them. I know you
Yes.
do. He's your baby Tigre.
Yes, he's my baby Tigre.
That's a reference. You'll understand if you play.
Yeah. El Tigre was the best character in the game, I think.
Yeah.
So, and that is a person and not an actual
tiger. A close second was Carlito.
What'd you say?
A close second was Carlito. He shot down 2 planes with 1 shot.
Yep, he did. Oh, and the companions were great. Like, they were all animals.
Yeah.
And like little chorizo, the little dachshund that had like the back legs. His back legs were paralyzed, I guess, so he had little wheels.
He would distract
so
people
cute.
with his cuteness.
He distracted people with his cuteness. He was too cute. And then Chicaron,
who's the punk cockerel, who just feral.
Mm-hmm.
I think he's just feral.
Yeah. A murderous rooster.
I'm sorry, Boom Boom, but we didn't get you until after we finished the game. Pretty much.
Yeah, no, we didn't get him. But I mean, we love him. He's from 5, and that's...
Yeah, we would have got
cool.
him earlier, but the DLC added more companions, so we unlocked that trophy early, achievement early, and then forgot. And went, wait, we haven't got the companion from this area. Whoops.
Oops. Yeah. And, you know, Eluso, I just loved. Like, I think I didn't use any other companion other than the ones that I had to use to get certain achievements for that amount of time. And then I used Eluso the rest of the time because she was great. So
I just used Guapo because...
And she's a cat.
Because he's my boy.
Yeah. Guap, 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 guap. That's the sound he makes. He
does. They don't put it in game, but he really
in the game.
He does.
But
anyway,
that's the sound he makes when he
What
moves.
was the next thing you played?
Wait. So final verdict on Far Cry 6 was I enjoyed it. I just didn't enjoy trying to get into it. I thought the writing was kind of weak. You know, it wasn't bad, and it wasn't like, oh my god, this is a travesty to writing.
As I've said before, it was average at best.
Yeah, it was average at best. There were cool, like the mechanics worked really well, and the companions were really great, and you know, playing together was really fun.
One thing it has going for it doesn't have a skill tree, and so you have all the abilities unlocked at the start. So
I did like that
really
too.
Helpful.
I liked that as well.
Being able to do all the different takedowns without actually having to like unlock them all.
Yeah, and the progression was more being able to upgrade your weapons and your bases and your cars and stuff like that. That was what the progression was more about, which was cool. Yeah. So I liked that as well. It's got pretty solid mechanics. The story is, as you said, average at best, and just the server connection was just bleh. And the 3 DLCs with the villains were good.
Yeah.
So, all right, that's that. My next thing was the We Were Here games on PlayStation with you.
Indeed. So I had a madcap scheme to hit my 3,500th trophy with a platinum, specifically in Cyberpunk, because the Phantom Liberty DLC was releasing, and so they released the 2.0 update, and I wanted to try out the 2.0 update. And so I wanted to do some shorter platinums because I was trying to have Cyberpunk be my 74th platinum, so then I could work on my 75th platinum. Because I didn't want to hit both milestones too close together and not be able to get one because of the other. So it took some planning to work out how to get there while also getting plats.
Yeah. It was a lot of math.
ICANN has math.
Okay, this has this number of trophies, and then this has this number of trophies.
But if I do the DLC, it has this amount of trophies. That's what Bugsnax was. It was like, oh yeah, there's 3 more there.
Yeah.
And so it was a lot of like balancing. But yeah, we were here. We played all 3.
We did. Well, there are more than 3, but we've played the first 3.
We played all 3 that we have.
We have played all 3 that we have. So we played We Were Here, the original one. We Were Here 2.
And we were here together.
We were here together. And I really like that series.
I like all 3 of them. I think the first one is good because it's short.
Mm-hmm. And the puzzles are fairly simple, you know?
Yeah.
I don't think we ever had to look anything up.
Not in the first one,
no.
Except just to double check the theatre room.
Right, yeah,
because
to make sure that we were
messed up slightly in one run, and we were like, we should have got the do it perfectly trophy. What happened?
Right. We were just just making sure that we had the correct idea for that one. But yeah, they're cooperative only puzzle games, so you can't play them in single player. You have to play them with a partner. Do they have couch?
Nope.
Co-op?
I don't think so.
It's online only. Okay. So, if you have a buddy who is an internet friend, you know, or...
It makes me think of the opening to the A-Team. If you have a problem that no one else can solve except in co-op, then call your buddy and get them to play We Were Here Too.
Yeah. And you both enjoy puzzle games because that's what these are.
Yes.
Right? It's you know, one person will be seeing one set of things. So let's say they have
knights with weapons,
and the other person
has a room filled with weapons and a couple of knight statues.
Yeah, and has to match the right weapons to the right knight statue with the right coat of arms and whatnot. Or you have symbols on the wall or symbols on the floor, and you have to go in a certain order, and the other person finds a book that tells you which tiles to step on.
Yeah.
You know? So you have to really communicate and work together. And they have an in-game mechanic of radios that you can use. Obviously, we were on voice chat outside of... Yeah.
So we didn't need to use them, but you can.
But you can.
Well, actually, your mic on your PS5 controller was coming through, and I was like, I can hear you twice.
Oh,
okay.
Yeah.
That makes sense. Because I played it on PS4, because I downloaded it on PS4, and I won't have to download all 3 again on PS5.
Yeah. So surely there's a way to permanently disable that microphone.
Probably in the settings somewhere.
In the settings somewhere. I gotta do some exploration of that. But because I don't want to be recording my microphone all the time.
Exactly. No.
So, but yeah, I had a lot of fun doing the We Were Here games.
I think 1 is my favorite for its simplicity. 2, I think, is the weakest of the 3, sadly. I don't think it has the best puzzles, in my opinion.
Mm-hmm.
And 3 is good if you want longer puzzles.
Yeah.
Like, 3 might be my favorite just because it just takes a little bit more figuring out.
Yeah. It has some of my favorite puzzles in it, too. Like, I really like the one where you're doing the alchemy.
Yeah.
There's 2 that are to do with that, where you have pictures of like the sad radish and the angry daisies.
The angry buttercup, the double daisies, and the sad radish. Except it wasn't even a radish. It was like a parsnip or something.
It's some kind of root vegetable.
Well, because my end, I couldn't see the color of the thing. So when I came up with the names, I was like, hey, it looks like a radish. And it was like, no, it's white.
Yeah.
Oh, could be horseradish. We'll go with that.
A turnip?
Could be turnip, yeah.
Sad turnip. Anyway, so one person had these symbols and a chart with how, like a chemical chart of how to combine them to create different substances, and then the other person had the vials of the substances, and you had to figure out different ways to combine them or separate them sometimes, so that you could get the components that you needed. And I really liked that puzzle.
Yeah.
And I know you really like the one with the pipes.
Yeah, I don't know why I like that one so much. I do. It just makes me think of some of the older games that were like, you know, controlling water flow in pipes. I can't remember what it was called, but it was like, it was a game on its own, and then it was like part of hacking, I think like vending machines and stuff in BioShock, and you had to like use the pipes.
Yeah.
It just made me think of that. And it's colourful. I mean, when we got to it this time, you were super tired and and like had another arrangement, and I like pushed it a bit. And you were like, I don't understand. And I'm like, I'm sorry.
And you hadn't found one of the pipes.
No, I hadn't. I only had 3 out of the 4, so it was impossible.
So we were trying to do it, and we couldn't do it. And I'm like, it's not working.
And I was like, maybe I missed it. How many pipes do you have? And you were like, 5. And I was like, I have 3. I think I'm missing 2.
Yeah,
I was like, I found a 4th
one. It was 4. We each had 4, I think.
Okay. I thought you had 5 and I had 4, but I might be wrong. Because I think you had 2 duplicates.
I think I had 4 and you had 3. But anyway, regardless, I had
I had
more pipe.
4, you had 5. I should have had 4, but I had 3. And so, yeah. But anyway, that one I like. And I also like the next section where you're like making the pesticide.
Yes, I like that one too.
But I don't like getting out of the damn water cistern.
It's stressful because your partner is going to drown.
No, those 2 games are like our kind of game, because we like puzzles and we like talking, and
we're like puzzles. We like puzzles and we like each other. So
therefore, fun.
Therefore, a cooperative puzzle game, yes, please. And so there are 2 more in that series. 2 more games. We Were Here Forever, which we don't have, and then We Were Here Expedition, the Friendship,
which we're gonna play.
Which we're gonna play at some point. That was free on PlayStation a little while ago, so we grabbed it.
And we got the PS4 and PS5 version, so we could do that one twice.
Yee.
Oh.
So those were fun. I really enjoyed playing those together. We did them like back to back, kind of.
Yeah. I had a week off.
Yeah.
Work, and so we just played them over that week.
In the
well, we both had a week off work because you took time off as well.
I did. So
we had lots of time.
We did. So that was good fun. What else did you do during your mad dash toward 3,500 trophies?
Games that I've done before. I did Bugsnax again. I did Tinykin on the PS4. I did Firewatch, which I played before. I don't know if we've talked about that one or not, because that might have been during our hiatus time. I don't remember. But Firewatch is like an adventure game. You're like a fire warden. It's set in the 80s, I think, early 80s. And it's just like a very story-driven game, so I'm not going to go into any details about it.
Yeah.
But it's like you start your summer as like a fire warden in, I think it's California, although I might be incorrect. It's over like that side of the US, I believe.
Yeah.
But yeah, that one's fun. I did Letter Quest, which is a game where you have to spell letters and they do damage to enemies.
It's
You
like
have to
a
spell words
Scrabble
with letters. Yeah, it
kind
is
of a
like a
thing.
Scrabble type thing. Enjoyed it again. But the weird thing is, Letter Quest on the PlayStation has like a quarter of the number of achievements that the one on Xbox does. It has like, well, okay, a third. It has like 20 something. And the one on Xbox has 60. And also, it doesn't have a plat on PlayStation. And I'm like, why? There's some odd disparities between games
Yeah.
on Xbox and PlayStation as to like the number of trophies and number of achievements they have, and I don't really understand why they change things.
Yeah. I think it's got to be something to do with the trophy values. And certain games, at least at some point, were not allowed to have over a certain value of trophies.
Entirely
Whereas
possible, yeah.
for Xbox, you have 1,000 gamer score, and you can split that up into 1,000 1G achievements if you want to, or you can put on 0 gamer score achievements.
Yeah.
And so you can have really as many achievements as you want, as far as I understand. It's just that it has to be within the confines of a certain amount of gamer score for a base game, you know? And then I think they have different rules for DLCs, like DLCs can't be more than 500 G each.
Although they
I,
might have changed certain rules going along because it was like you couldn't go above 2000 G, but now you can.
but now you can. Yeah, so, it's
There's certain
different, but
guidelines.
there's no like limit, I don't think, to the number of achievements that you can have,
No.
as long as it's within the amount of gamer score. Whereas for PlayStation, like, bronze trophies are worth a certain amount, and silver trophies are worth a different amount, and golds are worth a different amount. And so I think that there
Yeah.
is some kind of cap of total amount of score that you can have on a game. And so if that limits the number of trophies that they can have on it, because even the bronzes are worth a certain number, right? And I don't know what those numbers are, because I don't understand PlayStation's calculation in terms of their level and this, that, and the other. Like, and I don't
Something
really
maybe
care.
we can look into. Because
Yeah.
I'm curious. I'll
Yeah.
look into it at some point.
Yeah.
But yeah, I did Letter Quest. Then I did Lost Words Beyond the Page, which I've done before. And that's like a little adventure semi-platformer, but not really super difficult platforming.
Yeah.
And it's very story-driven, so I won't say anything much more about it. Obviously, I started Cyberpunk because I wanted to hit my 3,500th trophy with the plat. And then I guess 2 games that I started that were new was GRIS, which you've played, and Life is Strange: True Colors.
Nice. Which I have also played.
Yeah. So GRIS is like a very stylized platformer, dealing with the stages of grief.
Yep.
It's very atmospheric. Like, it has a very like specific color palette for certain areas, like the red desert and like dark cave system, to like, as metaphors for feelings, like red anger. I guess despair would be black.
Depression.
Yeah. Like, you're down in the pit kind of thing.
Right.
I know how that feels.
Mm-hmm.
But it's like, yeah, I really liked that game. I really liked the style. I
Mm-hmm.
really liked this little guy that you meet in the forest.
Yeah, the
He
cute
was
little
cool.
forest people that eat the
Yeah,
apples.
they eat the apples. I will give I will give a shout out to Exonovan because he has a guide
Mm-hmm.
for that game,
He does.
which was useful.
Mm-hmm.
The only thing that annoyed me, and this might be not my own fault, but like a problem my end of the system, was you have to escape an eel without being bitten,
Mm-hmm.
and it drove me insane because it took me like 20 tries when it took you like one.
Yeah,
And
I don't
I
know
think
what
the
was going on
problem
with that for
I
you.
think it's my X button on my PS4 controller has
Mm.
just worn out because it's like 6 years old.
Mm-hmm.
And so I don't know as it was responding properly.
That makes sense because I'm like, and I hate to use these words because I don't want to be patronizing to you, right? But it's
Hmm.
like it doesn't feel like that it is that difficult mechanically. And
Well, it's
so
only like 5 instances of you needing to get the timing right.
right, yeah. And it's it's pretty telegraphed when he's going to
Yeah.
bite,
He opens
And
his mouth
so
really wide, and then you have to like wait to a certain point and hit X, and then you do a
right.
little spin move.
So I feel like, your skill level is better than mine and in general. And so
I could have
you
also
should
just
have
been
been
having a
able to
bad
do
day.
it. It's possible too. Yeah.
Yeah.
But
Like, I'm not infallible, and it could also just be that I just struggled with that because I wasn't as good as I should have been. Or
yeah, that is very possible, but my guess is it seems way more likely that that was an input issue on your
I'm going
controller.
to do it again on Xbox, so we'll see.
Okay. That yeah.
And I also have
I
experience.
also
So.
played that game again this month just to, talk about it here. I played GRIS as well. It came to Game Pass in September, and so I was like, "Oh, great! I'll replay it." And
Oh, sweet.
I did it in June on PlayStation, and so when it came to Xbox, I was like, "Oh, cool! I've played this recently." And kind of like you were saying earlier, it was one of those things where it was like, "Oh, I remember how to do this because I've played it recently and was just able
Yeah,
to
so I'm
get a."
hoping that I'll have a better experience with that section.
Mm-hmm.
That game has really good music, and
It does.
the music in that section I have listened to, like after I finished playing the game, and I think that
Mm-hmm.
that's a testament to like if game music needs to be pretty decent for me to want to listen to it again,
Yeah.
and so that means it's up there in my opinion.
Yeah. To not be something that's just background or atmospheric.
Yeah.
Yeah. Good deal.
Life is Strange. I will say that Life is Strange True Colors is my favorite Life is Strange. Obviously not going to go into details because that game is very heavily story driven.
Mm-hmm.
I will say one thing, that my favorite section is the D&D like festival?
The LARP.
The LARP, that was it.
Mm-hmm.
The LARP section.
Yeah.
Such fun.
Yeah.
So well done. It's just great. It's just like D&D.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes. No, it's good. I really love that game.
Yeah.
It's absolutely my favorite of the Life is Strange series as well. So, and it just feels like it has a similar tone to the others,
Mm-hmm.
but different. If that makes
Yes.
sense. Like it
Yeah.
it feels both heavy and light, whereas the others I think leaned way more into the heavy.
Yeah. I agree.
So, yeah.
Yeah, I was like, it was a more hopeful story.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah.
But yeah, definitely recommend.
Good deal. Well, the only other game that I played this month, because we've kind of talked about a lot of mine as we were talking about yours,
Mm-hmm.
but
Well, I
because we
finished
played
mine.
a lot of, either we played them together or we played some of the same things. But my last one was called Metal Hellsinger, which was a game that I played because it was on my list of Games Pass games, and once again, it was going to be going off of the service in September. And so I was like, oh, well, I better check this out while I can. And it was really enjoyable. It is definitely, an indie title, and so not expecting the gameplay mechanics to have as much polish as something AAA, but it's very similar mechanically to something like Doom, where you're fighting a bunch of fiends, a bunch of hellspawn, and it's got an interesting kind of story that reminded me lore-wise to Darksiders. And so you're this person who is basically, there's this prophecy written about the Hellsinger, that they are going to be the fall of hell and I think the fall of heaven. And so as you're going through, you're playing this sort of like figure who then they think might be the Hellsinger, and you go through the different levels of hell, and the different like layers, and you fight different minions and bosses and stuff as you're going through the levels, trying to retrieve your voice. So the character was someone who they valued their voice and their singing more than anything, and that's what was taken away from them, and so they're battling through hell in order to try to get their voice back. And it's a rhythm-based shooter, which is super interesting. So you have guns, and the gunplay again is very similar to Doom, if less polished than Doom, but it still works just well enough. And you go through and you fight the minions of hell, but you want to try to time your shots with the beat. So each level has like a hard rock track or a heavy metal track that
I'm
is
just thinking
playing.
of Another One Bites the Dust by Queen.
Kind of.
Dun, dun,
Dun,
dun,
dun,
dun, dun, dun, dun.
kind of.
As a beat,
it's,
right?
Yeah, definitely. It's more metal than that, but they have like a metal track that's playing, and you try to time your shots, and even like your jumps and dashes and stuff, you try to time that to the beat. And if you get it on beat, then you get streaks, and if your streaks get to a cap, then it'll play the full track of the song, so it'll have the singing and stuff on there as well. So at first it's just the music, and then if you max out your hit streak, it'll be the full song, right, playing in the background. And so that was really cool. Like it was a really interesting twist on just your generic shooter, and it made it feel a lot more special, right, than just a generic shooter kind of a game, which it certainly could have been. So Doom style, like aesthetic and mechanics, they even have like glory kill kind of stuff where you'll do enough damage, and then you can like rip the thing apart. And so they had 9 different layers, the 9 different layers of hell, and
Dante's Inferno.
Yeah, and then for each one they had some different little like challenges to do in each one. So things like needing to get a certain streak, or doing certain kinds of kills, and not being able to heal, that sort of thing that you needed to do to be able to unlock perks on your character. And so not a super duper long game, but really interesting in terms of like story and world building and mechanics wise. I will say that for the achievements, they also have an accessibility mode. So if you have trouble with like staying on the beat, they have an always on beat accessibility option that you can turn on, which is really helpful if either your inputs are difficult, because my triggers are kind of messed. just from lots of use, right?
I would love a like super robust controller
yeah,
that didn't wear out after like 2 years. Because the Xbox ones have just
I don't know if
they've been bad.
if the super expensive like Elite or Pro controllers are better in that regard.
I
I've
feel
never
like for
had
me
one.
that would just be more stuff to break by accident.
Yeah, that I have that feeling too. Like I would think, it would be we would wear them out just the same and they would be more expensive to replace.
Yeah. Well,
but that might be wrong.
And I bought that the white Xbox Series X controller for my Xbox One, and it didn't even last a year and a half.
Yeah.
And I'm like,
Yeah.
I'm looking at my PS5 controller now going, don't do the same. I'm hoping it won't.
I hope not. It is frustrating to have to replace things when it feels like it's just normal use.
Yeah.
Like it's not like we're throwing our controllers around and banging them on the table or like getting Cheeto dust inside of them. It's like we treat our technology
I religiously
pretty well.
sprinkle mine with Parmesan cheese. And I did it the American way, not Parmesan, like I would say.
Yep.
Parmesan.
Yeah.
But anyway, I've derailed you from your Hellsinger thing about controllers.
No, that's fine. That was pretty much all that I was going to say. Like the point being was it has that accessibility option, and so for some of the more difficult things like get a really long streak and do a level without being off beat and that sort of thing is really hard if your triggers aren't calibrated super well or
if you're tone deaf and can't follow a rhythm.
Right, or if you can't follow a beat. Like, I mean, I am pretty good at rhythm games and even mine was like just off sometimes. So it feels like it's either very, very, you have to be very precise with it or the triggers are just not super precise.
Like me with GRIS, right? Where it's like, I think it's the A button some of the time.
Yeah. Like, yeah, I think that it's a combination of the trigger's just not a very good, it's not as quick an input as a button, right? Because the trigger takes some time to depress and to tell
doing
that
it on PS5 because you've got the like different amounts of pressure that you put on gives different resistances and stuff. So it's like, how would that work?
I wonder if that, I don't know. So, I mean, I played it on Xbox One, the Xbox One version of it. And so in any case, that option I think is nice, for folks who either don't have a good controller,
accessibility for games
aren't as good.
Really, it's really good.
Yeah. So that you can enjoy the full, what it's supposed to be. And I was still like, even though you can't miss a beat when you have that option on, like I was still trying to like hit things on the beat. And I think you get like a perfect or whatever if you hit it right.
But you don't get penalized.
But you don't get penalized for being off beat if you are. And so, yeah, I don't know. It was fun. It was a fun little indie thing. It was just interesting. So that was my last one.
So it sounds like we've both had good Septembers.
Indeed.
And now we're 3/4 of the way through the year.
Mm-hmm.
How are your goals looking?
Oh, I'm so glad that you asked. So
loaded question. Sorry, what? Who was that?
So yeah, it's third quarter wrap up time. And so my goals are and were going well. So at the end of September, I had completed my goal for gamer score on Xbox for the year. My goal was 435,000 to hit, and I ended the month with 437,587. And so I smashed that out of the park. Mm-hmm. I was on track with my platinums. So I wanted to get to 50 platinums this year. And so that was an increase of 18 platinums over the course of the year, and I completed 17 platinums by the end of September, which was one away, which is great. And then I wanted to do 25 games off of my backlog, so games that I had purchased prior to the beginning of this year. And I had done 22 at the end of September, thanks in large part to the We Were Here games that we played. That was 3. That was 3 off the backlog that were done in pretty quick succession. Counts. So it still counts. That's true. So I'd done 22 out of 25 games off the backlog, which put me on track for completing that by the end of the year. And the other 2 goals that I had for the year, I had already completed. So I had played, I had a goal to play 10 Games Pass games. And by the end of September, I had done 14. So more than my goal. And I wanted to get DLCs done in a few games, which I did at the very beginning of the year. So I've had that done for quite some time. So yeah, I'm checking off those goals at this point, and it feels good coming into the last third of the year, having really completed a lot of the things that I set out to complete already and being on track with the others. So
nice.
How about you?
So I'll start with my Xbox goals. So I had hit 400 completed games, which I got in July. And then I had hit 450,000 gamer score, which I hit in August. I'm currently on 454,627.
Nice.
So, doing well. My third goal was to hit 99.7% completion, which effectively means complete every game on my tag except for the unobtainables. So effectively 100% my tag.
Right.
So I was working towards that. And then Phantom Liberty happened on Xbox, where they added the achievements in for the DLC, but they didn't split the Xbox One version of Cyberpunk from the Series X version of Cyberpunk. So that game is now currently uncompletable for me. It has 15? Let me have a look, see. There's a number of trophies that I need to get. 13. It has 13 extra trophies. That I would now... Yeah, achievements. Sorry, I've been deep in the PlayStation this month. Achievements that I would need to get to 99.7%. And so I just went, well... hard acceptance, that goal's gone. I can't do that this year. I can't afford to buy a Series X. It would be insane for me to buy a Series X considering I just bought a PS5.
Right.
And my income isn't, huge. And so I decided that I'll scrap that goal. I've had another goal in mind, because we made these goals at the beginning of the year.
Yeah.
But I've been making other goals as I've gone through the year, because I actually find that more fun.
Yeah.
And so I've decided that I would like to hit 1 million TA, so that's true achievement score, by the end of the year. And I'm currently sat on 993,555. So I need about another 6,500 TA. And I could get that from 2 or 3 games. Right. Depending on the ratio of the game, or 4. And so I'll finish Immortals eventually this year. The DLCs will be done. And then I'll figure out what else I want to play to hit that number. But I'm currently working on my PlayStation goals. Obviously these numbers are as of October the 17th for me.
Okay.
Because I'm not retroactively going to go back and subtract what we've done this month off my totals. So we're just going to go with.
I noted these stats down at the end of September. So mine were accurate as of the end of September.
I should have done that, but I didn't. But it's okay.
It's okay.
You're seeing into the future, from my perspective. And so for PlayStation, I have the goal of do 5 exclusives. That's never going to happen. We're writing that one off. I'm too deep into other projects.
Iron Praetorian hates exclusives.
No,
you heard it first here.
It's just I want to be in a headspace where I'm going to enjoy them because they're supposed to be really good games, like God of War and Uncharted, and even like Detroit and Horizon. I don't own it yet, but Horizon Forbidden West. And so I'm like, I want to be done with my madness. My madness goals. Before I attempt those, because I'll just rush through otherwise. And so I'm aiming for 3,500 in Cyberpunk. Mm-hmm. Then I'm going to go for my 75th plat, which supposedly was supposed to be Red Dead, but Red Dead just keeps getting moved to the next milestone because we haven't worked on any of it yet.
Red Dead 2.
Yeah, Red Dead Redemption 2. You will be a milestone. Eventually. And so that will be my 75th plat is going to be in Skyrim because it's one of my favorite games, and I just want it. I just want it on there. I want it on my PlayStation PSN profiles little milestone thing. I want Skyrim on there because it's cool. And also having a PS5 means that I can do the plat again and 100%. And I'm like, oh yeah, let's go. So.
They just need to keep releasing so what you're saying is that they just need to keep releasing new versions of Skyrim so that you can keep platinuming it on your same account.
Maybe. Can they do that to Mass Effect so that I can have like one of the Mass Effect platinums as a milestone? Because I really should have put that like Mass Effect 2. I do have Insanity 2 as my 2000th. Trophy, so I do have a Mass Effect game as a milestone, but having N7 Elite would actually be pretty nice. Okay, speaking from the future, I actually already hit my 3,500, and now I have a mad plan to hit 4,000 trophies on Christmas Day with a platinum. And that will be exactly 1,500 trophies in that year, from the 25th to the 25th, because I got my 2,500th trophy as the platinum in Lego Jurassic Park on Christmas Day last year. And so I'm like, I'm kind of close. Not.
You're only 500 trophies away.
So I need to average, it's like 6.4. So we'll say somewhere between 6 and 7 trophies a day for the next 78 days. As in, that was from the 3,500.
Right. And caveat here is that you're also not going to play Chickens on the Road or Stroke the Turtle in order to get those done.
And I'm also...
like you're doing it in games that you want to play.
Exactly. And I'm not doing it in the same way that I was doing when I was going for my 75th and 3,500th like trophy and plat, because I don't need to have a number of plats. And so I don't need to have like I don't need to complete every game that I play within that time period. I just need to play games that I want to play and get trophies.
Yeah.
And I would like to maybe get the plats at each of the game, but I don't necessarily have to get the 100%. And I can use the DLCs to shore myself up if I'm short.
Right.
Like, we're going to do Rise of the Tomb Raider. We want to do the Endurance Mode DLC. And so I don't necessarily have to complete all of the other DLCs.
Yeah.
I still haven't 100% decided exactly which plat it's going to be, because I keep changing my mind.
Right, because you want to have one that has a cool name or is a special
Potentially,
game
yeah.
to you.
And I've also come to the realization that me making specific goals at the beginning of the year, like get Red Dead as my 75th plat, they're just not fun for me. Or like
Right,
play
well,
5 exclusives. I
there's
like
so many platinums in between,
precisely.
where you're starting out and that number, that then it just puts a lot of pressure on you to really want to do that at that moment.
I think for me, it's the fun of I would like to get my 4,500th trophy this year, or my 75th plat, or my 100th plat.
Yeah.
What's that game going to be when I get there? Because it's changed a lot over time as to which ones were my milestones. And so I'm like, my 100th is definitely going to be Demon Souls. That's a given. Because I want a Souls game on there, and it has a good plat.
Yep.
And it's been sat on that 100th point. I kind of also want to get there as well, so I'm like, quick, do the plats.
Get the thing. So, yeah, we'll get there. We've got to do that Rise of the Tomb Raider DLC, because spoilers into the future, Rise of the Tomb Raider is my 50th platinum.
Yep.
That was the plan. I actually played a good amount of it during September.
Mm-hmm.
I was fairly
considering
close.
that one as my Christmas one, to have Rise as my 4,000th.
Oh yeah,
because it's a good game.
Yeah,
and I do enjoy the Tomb Raider reboot series. And it's doable.
Yep, and I think the platinum is like Ultimate Survivor or something like that. Like, it's a decent name.
It's just
It's not
Platinum Trophy.
Oh, really? That sucks. Yeah, Rise of the Tomb Raider. It's an interesting one, which we'll talk about next month.
Yes.
But
it kind of felt like I had to do some spoilers there just to make stuff make sense in the context of my plans for the next quarter.
What you're trying to do. Yeah. So, yeah, no, I got a good ways into Rise of the Tomb Raider by the end of September, and was on track for that being my 50th platinum in my journey. So
these madcap plans give me purpose.
Yeah.
I feel
it's interesting with choosing goals. Trying to pick something long term that isn't going to burn you out.
Yeah.
And then making more short term goals that like jazz you up. Right? Yeah. Where it's like, where you're not having I want to do, X game as my 75th platinum, but I'm 30 platinums away from that. And who knows 30 platinums from now whether I'm going to be feeling like doing Red Dead Redemption 2, which is long as hell, right?
And requires online
play. And so
with potentially more people than just us. And so
right.
Whereas like Demon Souls, it's something we two can do together, and so I feel a lot more like positive that I'll do that for 100.
Yeah.
I'm also trying to move away from doing games quickly for the sake of doing them quickly. Like, I want to do them as fast as possible, because that isn't always fun. No. Sometimes it is, like I did with The Surge, where I got number one spot on PSN profiles without intending to. I was just like running through the game. You were just playing
through really quick because you'd just done it.
Yeah.
But that's that case of you had just played it, and so you had enjoyed it and taken your time with your first playthrough and enjoyed that, and then you just trophy hunted it for the second, go round. And I think that makes a big difference to me, like having that first playthrough be something that's not heavily focused on getting it done as fast as I can, because then I don't enjoy it personally.
Yeah, and I think that that's something I need to work on going forward myself. Is I've done it well in the past when PlayStation wasn't my main focus of like just
Mm-hmm.
taking the time with games.
Yeah.
And that's why I'm going for games that I have done before, so that I'm
Mm-hmm.
like, I know how to play these games. I know the story relatively well. If I speed
Yeah.
through certain sections or most of the game, it's not the end of the world.
Right.
But whereas it's like Uncharted,
You don't want to be blasting through that
because I
and
would like
skipping
to
the
enjoy the story
cutscenes.
and
Yeah.
not even skipping the cutscenes, but just like getting frustrated because I don't know the
Mm-hmm.
games.
Right. And getting frustrated because it's taking longer or a section is harder than you thought it might be.
Yeah,
That sort of thing.
because I think
Yeah.
having like reasonable goals
Mm-hmm.
for most of the year is fun.
Yeah.
Like, I wanna get like 20 plats this year. I'm about to get my 20th plat because that was twinned with getting my 75th was getting 20 plats this year, which I thought
Yeah.
was a reasonable amount, especially considering how much work I did on my backlog for Xbox. Because that was
Yeah.
another goal I didn't talk about was like getting my backlog done, which became a goal because
Mm-hmm.
of PS Plus, not PS Plus, no Games Pass. Sorry, completely different thing. Not at this stage, they're both vying with each other. But
Yeah.
Games Pass and the whole
Mm-hmm.
live going away and what that would cause to happen. I still need to keep an eye out in November to make sure my membership gets renewed, which it should.
Right. Yeah.
But it's like I just wanna, I just wanted to like have some goals later in the year,
Yeah.
and I push at the end of the year. Like
Mm-hmm.
I hit November and I'm like, let's go, and I just smash through
Yeah.
games. It just
Yeah.
happens.
For sure.
It's just part of my like sprint to the finish.
Right. And it's kind of like knowing yourself well enough to know that that's what you're going to do, and so setting yourself some goals
Yeah,
around that, like,
that 4,000
yeah.
with November. We'll see
Mhm.
because October looks like it might be a good month too.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm also aiming for the plat in Skyrim on my birthday.
Mm. Which is going to happen in a week
Indeed,
from when we're recording this.
ish.
Ish. Yeah. Less than a week.
It is.
So, yeah. So hopefully you'll have a nice shiny birthday platinum
Mm-hmm.
and be on track for your end of the year goals. At this point, I've decided to, because I've hit
Pretty much all your goals.
pretty much all of my goals
I mean,
at this
we've
point.
both pretty much hit all of our goals by this point. We've got
Yeah.
like I'd hit mine, so I came up with new ones.
Mm-hmm.
And also having ones that I know I'm not gonna do are no longer goals because it's like there's
Right.
no point in going, I'm gonna definitely do 5, and it's like December 28th, and I'm like, nah, I'm not. Like understanding that that's a goal that I'm not gonna hit, and that's okay to have a
Yes.
goal that you're not gonna hit is fine.
Yeah, it's okay to change your goals, you know? If you realize that they're not something that's making you happy or it's not fun, goals are personal. It's not something that you're because this is a hobby, right? It's not something that we're
Wait,
doing
it's a
for
hobby?
like
I thought it was like an all-consuming need because that's what it feels like sometimes.
It's like
It's an
this is
addiction.
this is something that we do for
Sometimes.
fun. And it's not a job where it's like, well, if I hit these goals then I'll get a promotion, right? Like
Fun, I
we're
haven't
getting
had that
nothing
since
out of it other than
1974.
we're getting nothing out of it other than satisfaction,
Mm.
and so if something that you decided at the beginning of the year would be something fun to try to do during the year, and then it turns out that it isn't fun to do during the year and it's stressful and it's stressing you out, scrap it.
Be done with it.
Be done with it. Be gone with you, goal. I can make a new one.
Here's some things
know?
I've come to understand about myself is Challenges on TT and TA, I don't need because I've set enough of them for myself already.
Exactly. And you've set ones that are things that you want to do.
And I don't need other people to tell me what to play because I have such a backlog. Like, obviously, someone saying, "Hey, Rob, you'll like this game." That's great. Like, oh, cool, I'll check it out, stick it on my wish list and such. But when it's like, oh, when are you going to play proper games? You should be playing these games and this game. And it's like, you know what? That instantly puts that game 20 games further down my playlist because you've dissed everything else I'm playing as not a proper game.
Yeah.
I'm like, nah, you can wait.
It's like everything that you're playing is a proper game.
Pretty much, yeah.
You know, the only things that I would consider not proper games are games that are cheap cash in, you know,
shovelware
20-minute platinums.
2-minute plats, stroke the turtle.
Right? Like that kind of stuff, those aren't proper games, in my opinion. And visual novels that are just straight up visual novels. Because I've played a couple of them now, and they're whether the story is good and whether they're enjoyable or not is beside the point. They're not games.
The interaction just isn't there.
Yeah, the interactivity, because that's what I consider like games are an interactive medium, and there's just not enough interactivity for that type of thing. That's not to say they shouldn't exist.
No,
because
and that
they're
isn't
totally
to
fine.
say that people shouldn't enjoy them.
And people shouldn't enjoy them, because I have enjoyed one and kind of enjoyed a second. But
the second was average.
The second was average, but in terms of story quality.
Yeah.
But they're not games, right?
They're not something that we would like want to do multiples of going forward. I don't know as I've ever played a visual novel.
I don't think you've ever played like a straight up visual novel. I don't think so.
I've
because
maybe played
something like
close, but
something like the Telltale games or like Venba or stuff like that is close.
Venba is about as close. Sorry, Vimba is as close as I've come to a visual novel, but I think it had enough gameplay elements, especially when you can get things wrong, and then it resets you.
Yeah, and it has enough gameplay, and Coffee Talk, right? Like those have enough gameplay elements that you do feel like you're interacting with the game.
And especially with Coffee Talk having the challenge modes where you need to make like a load of different drinks. That's a game. That's like a mini game, but it's a game.
Yeah. It's a coffee simulator.
Yeah.
Right? And so, there's definitely enough gameplay there that I consider it not a straight up visual novel. And for things like Telltale and Life is Strange and that sort of thing, there's enough to interact with and decisions that you make that actually they're more like point and click adventures than they are visual novels, in my opinion. But some straight visual novels we'll talk about next month. But one of them.
Watch this space. Enough spoilers from the future.
It's just you're just hitting an A button or X button to like
move
turn the page.
Yeah.
Effectively. And to me, that's just not enough to call it a game. It's my opinion, but yeah. So anyway, that was our September and our third quarter progress. It sounds like we're both making really good progress on our goals, made a few new ones for the end of the year, and enjoyed some pretty good games this past month, I think.
Played a good number of new and a good number of ones that we've done before. Let us know in the comments like how you're getting on with your goals, if you have any, what games you've been enjoying. even like things you're looking out for in the Black Friday sales.
Right, because that's a big game acquisition time.
It's coming to that time of year where there's going to be sales upon sales. So,
yep. And so, things that you're excited about. And there's also a bunch of games releasing right now. So, like Assassin's Creed Mirage is out.
Yeah.
Baldur's Gate 3 came out in September.
That is the first Assassin's Creed that I haven't bought on release day since the first Assassin's Creed that I got for Christmas.
Yeah. Wow.
Because
Valhalla really put you off.
Pissed me off.
Yep. And so, I don't know whether Mirage is good or not. I will find out because we will play it at some point in the future. Oh, definitely.
I'm just going to wait for a sale, though, because Valhalla... I can't even say the name anymore. Valhalla had enough of my time and money that game can wait.
Yep. No, I totally agree. I haven't purchased it either. There are a few things coming out this month. There's Alan Wake 2 is coming out. Lords of the Fallen, I think,
is out.
Just came out.
I've got my PS5 on the home screen, still on, and Lords of the Fallen is in the bottom right corner saying out now.
Yeah. So we've got a bunch of things starting to release because it's final push at the end of the year to, get those games out for the holiday and all that. So if there's stuff that you're interested in or looking forward to, let us know. And here's to a good last quarter of the year. And
this year has flown by.
Yeah, if you have that push like Mr. Praetorian does toward the end of the year, good luck. So you guys take care of yourselves. Happy October. Happy Spooky Month. And we will see you in November for October's wrap-up.
Bye.